right. So, hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for our TAG Voices of Liberation podcast. TAG stands for Take Action Advocacy Group for everyone who is new, because I know we get a lot of new people to watch the show. TAG stands for Take Action Advocacy Group. We are a Black liberation nonprofit, and we do majority of our work in the greater Pittsburgh area. We affectionately call the Mon Valley. We also work in other small Black communities across the world. We started in 2014 and have now been around for over 10 years. And the way we take action is we have our chapters, which is our flagship program, which is how we started. Because when we started, we were a community group and we were just a bunch of people who came together and gave a damn about our communities. And we started to get involved. A lot of us ran for office, a lot of us won. And then the community group kind of grew into a nonprofit. So we kept our chapter program. We also have our complaint program, which is another flagship program that started with people just reaching out for help about how to navigate the criminal justice system and how to fight and advocate for racism. So we work with people by giving them advocacy plans, court support when we can, financial assistance with legal help, and bills that come up when you're fighting the system. We like to say that the police have the system and the people have us. So we support people through those things, and then we also do trainings in the community as well. We also do wellness and healing sessions, and we advocate for all of the social justice initiatives you can possibly think of. And we focus on environmental justice, food justice, police violence, transportation, as well as wellness and healing. And we do that because that's what the community wants us to do. So everything we do, we get directly told to us from the community. Our podcast started through our complaint program. Actually, we work with a lot of families who just don't get a lot of attention. There's no videos. It's not always police violence. So literally, the first podcast we did was we had one of our families on to talk about their story, so we can get their story more out there. And it just kind of took off from there. So that's how it started. We wanted to make sure all the families we're working with, because a lot of times we don't. It's not a public thing. We handle it. We assist them, and that's it. We give them an advocacy plan. Sometimes it becomes long term or it turns into a public advocacy campaign. But a lot of times, if there's no video or if it's not outcry of police violence, people just don't react the same. So that's why we started the podcast. So today's episode is going to be about our fellowships that we did at the end of 2025 for environmental and food justice. We did one with the adults and the youth, and we do our work, I said, primarily in the Mon Valley, which is a hotspot for environmental and climate justice because of the industry and the steel mill that is in the area. So today we're having on the fellows that participated in the fellowship. We have former Mayor of Duquesne, Nicole Nesby, Courtney Tompkins, the president of Q's Cares, and Tiffany Carter, who is the organizer for Take Action Advocacy Group. So I'm going to bring them on now. All right. Hello, how are you all doing today?
Great. Thank you for having us.
Good, thank you.
Absolutely.
Yes, thank you for having us on.
Thank you all for coming on and joining us today. So the first question I have for you all is if you could tell us more about the work you do and why you joined the fellowship. And I'll just call on who I'm looking at, so I'll call on you, Ms. Nesby.
Hi. I am Mayor Nicole Nesby. I'm one of the original members for TAG. Um, the work I am the former mayor in the city of Duquesne, but I've also served for many various nonprofit organizations. Um, but most importantly, the work that we do is around educating our people, empowering them to know that we can really make the difference in our communities together by organizing. Um, we have been left out for so many years over in the Mon Valley um, that it's nice to finally be able to create, to tell our story. It was already created, but it was an opportunity to tell our stories and to come together to make a change.
Thank you. Is there anything else you want to say about why you did the fellowship?
Um, yes. The reason why I decided to do the fellowship because it was focused on grassroots organizing as well as social justice. It gave us an opportunity to meet with other community partners, members, to hear um, how everyone looks at a situation differently with different outcome, and again how together as one we can really make the changes in our community by taking action, by telling our impacted stories, telling our personal whys that we're actually doing while we're involved. And it was really it was a really learning experience. It was growth, that I came out there with a different outlook on what our future could be in the Mon Valley.
Thank you, Nick. So next I'll call on Tiffany. And I'll repeat the question again. It's just, can you tell us more about the work you do and why you joined the fellowship? Yes, yes, Tiffany asked you. Yep. You just have to unmute yourself. But no one's talking now except for me. So while you're doing that, we'll have Courtney go.
You ready for me now?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, why I do what I do with Q Cares is because when my daughter was killed, Quenisha was killed in 2022, and when I traveled down to Atlanta, I immediately noticed that there was issues with pedestrian fatalities, pedestrian violence, and particularly with Black. The Black community, Black and Brown community, that their stories weren't being told, not just in Atlanta, across this nation. And I knew that this was bigger than Quenisha, so I started the Q Cares Foundation. And the fellowship was very important to me because I am educating myself. I think being in the work field since my kids became like 13, I lost touch with my community. I used to work for the after school program. My kids were in after school programs. I was with Little Tigers. I was with a lot. But once I started to go into the full time, double time force, I really lost track of the community. So through the fellowship, it got me back on track of what is missing from the community, what we can put back in our community, how do we go about that, organizing that, and not giving up on the community as well. Um, I learned to engage, and I also learned how to set up an event better than what I know because I work events. But I got the how I say the blueprint from going through the fellowship, where I'm even talking to Howie about what he's talking about our yard, and he was like, we need to test the soil, and then I was just like, wow, I just learned that the fellowship. So it's like things like that that what we got out of that fellowship, and also learning to engage with neighbors, right? Instead of going outside of my community to get somebody to cut my grass, oh, maybe I can give that, invest back into my neighbor here, and we could just do that all along where it's staying invested in McKeesport. So I enjoyed the fellowship. I can't wait till the next one. It really empowered me, and now I can pay that forward to the next person.
Thank you, Courtney. Thank you. And so now we're calling Tiffany. Are you able to
Hi,
unmute?
everyone. My name is Tiffany. I am the community organizer over at TAG. So I do everything community based with TAG. So we do any and everything social justice. So whenever you see Fawn, 9 times out of 10, you will see me. And even if you don't see Fawn, you will see me doing the work. So um, I think that the reason that I loved joining the fellowship, kind of to piggyback off what Nikki said, being able to share our stories and hear the outcomes from other people, being able to hear community members um, say what their outlook is on their own community and not just what everyone else felt like was going on in their communities. Being able to come together and pull out the strengths in everyone's community instead of looking at the deficits. And I think that was something that we struggle with within the fellowship was, bringing out a lot of the positive things. But I think that with us joining the fellowship, that we were able to kind of take away only the positive things. And so the fellowship helped me see that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel, even if you're given the narrative that there's not. Um, and so I really enjoyed the fellowship that way. And I feel like with the work that I do, the fellowship helped me again be able to keep an open mind of the work that we're doing, as well as being able to actively listen to people, as well as being able to take in how the different generations are able to explain the communities and explain what was needed in the different times. And so being able to accept the not so good things about the community, but also being able to speak highly and think of the positives that can be within the community, even if it seems like a small thing. Being able to pull those things out of the community and showing the people that like there are good things around and there are good things that can happen if they happen before they're able to happen again. And so keeping that glass half full idea is what kind of helped me from the fellowship and what has like pushed me a little more in my work. Um, but yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed the fellowship, um, especially the multi-generational ideals. So yeah, taking in the positives and leading with the positive things is my key takeaway from the fellowship.
Awesome. Thank you all. And just to kind of update everyone, the fellowship was done as a partnership with Penn State University. So we work with Dr. Justine Linderman, Dr. Andy Smolsky. I'm probably saying Andy's name wrong. Sorry, Andy. And Dr. Kathy Royal, and then Elizabeth as well, who was a graduate student. And they developed a model of asset mapping, appreciative inquiry. So these terms are already out there. They've been out there for years, but they kind of redesigned it to have a community-based research participatory approach, as well as making it a strength-based model that asked us to look more at our assets and less more at our needs. So that it was really focused on the strength-based, and what is a strength to you. So we all really kind of learned different things. We had youth and adults, and we did have them come together at times. So there was a lot of multi-generational feedback coming from. So thank you all for that. And just want to brag on everyone for a minute. So Nicole Nesby is the former mayor of the city of Duquesne. She is the first Black person, first Black woman to be that. She's one of the original members of TAG, and she does amazing work in the community for environmental and climate justice. She's been ringing the alarm about the water in Duquesne for years now. Courtney has an amazing story of using her pain and turning that into community impact, which takes a lot to do. Courtney always makes us proud. Literally, her story is how we define success. When you reach out to us, you work with us in our complaint program, you end up joining our chapter and starting your own organization. That's success to us. That's what we want. We want to empower people to take action, even if it ain't with us. Just take action. Just take action in your community. Tiffany has been with TAG. It's been 2 years. It'll be 2 years in May. Yeah, it'll be 2 years in May. Tiffany does amazing work with TAG. She came to us with a very deep background in environmental justice as well. She also does amazing work in her hometown, not her hometown, but in her community of Harrisburg as well. She's an amazing mother, an amazing aunt. So I just wanted to brag about them for a minute there. The next question, I'm just going to combine that question, is what does community mean to you, and how has the fellowship impacted your approach to your work? And anyone can go. So I'll say that again. What does community mean to you, and how has the fellowship impacted how you do your work?
So I'll go. So I'm going to go off after how I see the community now. From that, I would say my eyes are more open. I'm more understanding and learning to listen all the way through when someone's talking or their situation, so I can comprehend it and see what is really their needs, what is the issues, what resources I can get them because I sat and I listened. I'm recognizing the fellowship helped me recognize what's going on in this community, the difference from down by where I was at today by Shop and Save to up here where we're at and out by Renzi. That is 3 levels kind of here in our community that is getting different treatment, different education, different resources. And it's sad. So through the fellowship and doing these events, I'm trying to learn how to take the proper steps so we all get treated equally. Yeah.
Thank you, Courtney. Anyone else can go next? Nikki or Tiffany?
I'll go. To me, community sometimes I feel like it's missing because it's changed. When there was a point in time when that unity really meant that we were one and we looked after each other, and somewhere that we grew apart. And by this fellowship, I feel like we can still come back to the community that we used to have, where we used to watch out for each other, and took care of one another. Um, Through the fellowship, I've learned that we have lived experiences, and those are our greatest tools for advocacy. Um, it isn't just about, history, it's about claiming the space today that we are in. Um, the I enjoyed the difference in the different collaborations. Not only was it multi-generational, but even like the collaboration part with Penn State, Allegheny, as well as some of our other allies in social justice who were there. It was really nice to show and like navigate through the big frameworks, how we broke things down as to how we can tackle the issues and the problems that we were having. And then I think more or less like the last part, it goes back to, our mission at TAG, that we're just not here for a quick fix. We're here about building a foundation for residents so they can influence decisions, um, long after the fellowship ends, and that it works with us. And that this isn't just like the beginning for the social justice and closing that gap. This is just a continuation of what we started. Um, that's the way I feel.
Thank you, Nikki.
I would say that community to me um, means like a deep connection. I don't think that community has to necessarily be something that's geographical or by a zip code or anything like that. You can be in community with anyone, people that are like minded, people that make you feel safe. And I feel like community is such a important thing to really have. You can be part of a lot of different communities. Um, and I feel like that's something that is isn't as hard to understand, but people try to make it hard to understand. But it's really not. Um, and so with the fellowship, I was able again to see that community meant so much more to everyone else around me. Um, we had a lady that came to the fellowship and she brought her grandson with her. And I thought that was just so amazing. And it was a Saturday afternoon. Um, but it was good to be again in community with that, like to see that she felt comfortable enough to bring her grandson into a space where we were. And so for me, community is always at the forefront of everything that I do regularly. And so the fellowship just kind of heightened that. It made it more of a hyper focus for me to be more intentional about creating real communities for people, so real safe spaces for people. And just being open and being able to listen to people about what they feel like their community is and what it looks like to them to be in community with one another. And so again, it just helped me kind of focus on what community really is. And it ain't just where the hell you live at or, who the hell you've been around all your life. Like community is so much deeper than that. Um, and the fellowship helped me kind of see that.
Awesome. Thank you all so much. I agree with everything you said about community, especially the piece about it not being a zip code, Tiffany. That is so true. Because I can be anywhere in the world, and y'all know I'd be anywhere in the world at any time, and I still feel connected to the Mall Valley. I think I always will, regardless of where I'm at. So, and you can be in community with anyone, absolutely. Um, the community definitely has changed, and I too feel like it made me look at things differently with the fellowship too, because we're always so in the thick of it, like we're in it. So it was good to look at things differently from starting out with strengths and starting out with like what are the assets of the community. And we did it with Penn State University, the main campus, and we had other fellows who participated, and they'll be on being interviewed as well. So everybody was from different walks of life. Everybody wasn't from the Mon Valley. Everybody was doing different work. They were trained on asset mapping and appreciative inquiry, and then they actually did that training for the community. So the community members that came were all from different walks of life as well. So we really got a chance to meet different people and learn from one another. So, do y'all have any closing words? You don't have to. If you don't, I will let you all go. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us and taking the time out of your schedules to come and talk a little bit about the fellowship. I will let you all go.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Too. So, continue on with talking to our adult fellows. We want to talk to Tumba now. So, we're going to jump right into it. Thank you so much for joining us today, taking the time out your schedule to do this as well as participate in the fellowship. It was a pleasure to have you and to work with you. I know our paths crossed a lot in the past. That's the first time we actually worked together. So thank you. I appreciate that. So the first question is, if you could just tell people more about the work you do and then why you joined the fellowship, why it interests you.
Yeah, so I'm the managing director of X Liberator Network, which is a 501c3. I'm also the founder of Future is Black, which is a art platform which showcases local artistry and rests on five pillars of joy, connectivity, critical thinking, remembering, and healing. Um, Prior to that, I have experience in agriculture. I ran several farms. Most notably, I served as the director for 4 years at Oasis Farm and Fishery. So I think at the center of my work is really just about trying to catalyze or contribute to initiatives, movements, gatherings, etc., that affirm um, our right to have like life sustaining things conceptually or literally in the terms of food. So throughout all of the different aspects of my work, I think that's a through line. Um,
Awesome. Thank you for that. And then what made you join the fellowship? What interests you about it?
well, I mean, in large part, when you reached out, I was already down just to be a part of it. And I think that speaks a lot to just who you are and the work you've done. But and upon reading into it further, I felt like it was a great opportunity to learn an advanced community engagement technique, as I would describe it, as someone who's done. I worked in a nonprofit space for 10 years, and although I'm 31, that's come along with hundreds of community meetings, gatherings, and conversations around what we need, how do we do it, etc. So I felt like this was a amazing opportunity to like kind of dust the I don't know. Sometimes when you feel like you know something very well, you stop becoming curious. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And it's like its like inhibitor to new knowledge and understandings and perspectives. So I felt like maybe this is moving into the next question about what did I like about it. But so
mhm.
that's what drew me to it. This opportunity to learn a new framework in an area that I felt like I had a pretty good vantage point on. So it was intriguing based on some of the language and just knowing y'all work. So as far as like what I liked about the fellowship,
Mhm.
uh, Dr. Kathy Royal, first and foremost. I already gave you your flyers for us. You're the reason I came. She was the reason I stayed, so to speak.
Mhm.
The rest of the team and doing a
Mhm.
wonderful job creating space for us. And then like the people y'all curated to be a part of the experience also add a lot to it. And just the like dynamic amongst us, it was always something I was looking forward to. Because it was a chance to again learn these skills, but also just be in real dialogue with folks that are in it, you know what I mean, and like have their own vantage points. And I think that was probably indicative in some of the conversations and moments we had, where sometimes I felt like we went off script, but it always found a way to like tie back in to a broader takeaway. So yeah, that's some of the reasons I liked it, and I would just say too, like the opportunity to put it into practice where I
Mhm.
feel like it could have been a lot easier for y'all to say, okay, we're just gonna teach them about this and let them go off into the world where y'all put the onus to say, like, the true test of this is and how our ability to teach this effectively is seeing how well they could do it. Um, and I think that's a commendable approach. And I think we're all better off for it because it's something that's informed my work, which I'll speak to later. Um, So I guess in regards to the next question, what does community look like to me? I think it's more than just being in proximity to people. Um, I feel like it's a excuse me. There's a skit on the end of this one song I like, and dude saying basically like, we're whether you're in it for yourself or we're in it together, we're in it. You know what I mean? I think
Mhm.
for community to be something that's realized and felt, I think on some level has to be a notion of what we're in on. You know what I mean? And that has to transcend our individual personas to some degree. You know what I mean? So I feel like, yeah, because if it was just like a matter of proximity or race, even, you know what I
Hmm.
mean, then this becomes like a ridiculous question. But I think ultimately it's about the coagulation and co-creation of like a shared viewpoint that has like practical applications in society. Like whether it's a book club, like we were talking about before we started this, starting a
Hmm.
garden, um, giving out clothes, books, like whatever it is, like it all matters in the grand scheme. I think like, I think we talked about, um, if I'm not mistaken, no, that was from something else. But this idea of like affinity groups,
Hmm.
um, so I feel like a portion of what I think of like what community means for me is like there being an affinity, a shared affinity of some degree, um, combined with proximity and like a level of fellowship and like people having rapport with each other. Um,
I love what you said about Dr. Royal. I share sentiments about Dr. Royal as well, and just the what she brought to the table in regards to helping co-design that model, but also just making sure that we kind of stayed on community. I love what you said earlier about being so in it that you sometimes it's hard to kind of maintain that interest. I know for me going through, even though I kind of helped design it, going through helped me kind of look at the strengths of the community from a more of a like an asset based level. And I was like, oh, okay,
Absolutely.
this is it was different, but I really liked it, and I appreciate what you said about making sure that we had gave y'all the opportunity to put it in practice.
Yeah. So I mean, I guess building off of that, I think one way I've been able to work it in to my line of work is been through supporting West End Power with their community engagement series. They're doing four community voice sessions. One of happened already. One will happen this Saturday, as we talk in April, and two more are set. The intent is to make it like an ongoing thing, but this is kind of like a preliminary gathering,
Mhm.
research based situation that we're in, and appreciative inquiry has been like a really helpful framework we've been able to integrate into like the how we design the questions so that we're getting to the substance of the matter and trying to bypass like a lot of the yearnings for nostalgia, yearning or the kind of allure of focusing in on deficits and gaps. Not that these things should be ignored, like that would be being delusional, but like I think,
Yes.
you know, as far as we're concerned, we're interested in seeing like, if we assume that we have the answers and we also acknowledge that we can't rely on episodic systemic support, like I think we have to show up and do our part civically when the opportunity provides itself. But like while that's concurrent to that, like we got to be bringing forth what we can contribute in a synchronized way. So I feel like appreciative inquiry helps surface all of those things where it whatever comes of it, I think allows for people to track why the certain decisions were made,
Hmm.
to track like I think be like uh very deductive in that case where it's like we had all of these conversations in this particular way, and now we are moving forward based on us going through the 4Ds, and I think that's what we plan to do ultimately. So in August we'll reconvene after having had 3 prior sessions to kind of summarize all the feedback we gathered, and then kind of put it on the table to say like, what do we do next? Like, what does this look like moving forward? Um, and we're going to be in a position to like, put forth some resources and manpower to help like support and facilitate that. But we're trying to cultivate like a sense of accountability and co-ownership or something. Because I think the norm is just to kind of take more of a passive approach as a recipient of services uh, versus being like a co-author in something. You know what I mean? So it's really trying to get at like self-efficacy. Because if you don't feel like you can do something, it don't matter. Like, you know what I mean? Or just like if you feel like you know something, you block new information be able to come in. So I feel like appreciative inquiry has been something I feel like very excited about and think has a lot of potential to be transformative in how we just hold conversation in space. And it's something I'm actively like advocating for and working into all the different things I have, especially as it relates to like bringing community together. So
Awesome. That is great. That is great. Yeah, we love Terry and the work that she does with her team over at West Empower. So happy to hear that you're able to apply it to your work. We've been doing the same, and um, a lot of people will stop on their tracks. We'll say, "What are some good things about the community?" So they'll be like, they'll give us one, then they'll go down the rabbit hole.
yeah,
Like, tell me something good. Like, tell me something, like you said, that nostalgia. They always go to, oh, I remember back then, or I remember, we can recreate that. We can have that because that came from the people in the community. It
yeah,
wasn't even like they had this abundance of resources, because we were the resources.
absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, I think in some ways the reframe, just in a practical sense, even as we're talking about this, could be alluded to food, and particularly like working what you got. You know what I mean? Like, oh, we got some Salisbury steaks, we got a couple peppers, there's some rice,
Mhm.
like we gonna throw it together. And I think in some sense, there's the essence of that is found in appreciative inquiry, where it's like we're trying to take the best of what we have and can bring forth and like use that as the foundation for whatever solution we're talking about. Not
Absolutely.
that other things won't come into play,
Hmm.
but like, we're not designing for something that we fundamentally can't like aid and steward to some like meaningful degree. Like this is all contingent on like versus it being all contingent on like some government agency, a foundation, and like some pro bono technical assistance, which is great when that
Hmm.
can happen. But like,
Right.
you know, so yeah, I think, or even like what we've seen with the George Floyd and the pandemic and the flood of funding that came in to support black led organizations, like that lasted for all of 18 months, not even
Yep.
2 years.
Not even. Yep.
And then they put out a report talking about how it dried up. And then I don't know. So I digress. My point is, I think like um, by now, from Obama to now, it's swung 2 times both ways. And like we kind of know what it's hitting for. And I mean, there's also a longer history, obviously, that we could look
Hmm.
at. But I think it just speaks more to the appreciative inquiry piece and like really trying to lock in. Um, because you can't be so cynical that it becomes like self-defeating. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
um, or you shouldn't be. And if
Hmm.
you are, just like stay home, I guess.
Right. Right.
Like
Right. You got to do that
that's
inner
basic.
work. You got to do
Yeah,
the inner
yeah,
work because doing this work will affect you. So
yeah,
you have to, you have to be grounded. For me, it's me grounded in my ancestors, but you have to be grounded in something.
yeah,
Because no one's coming to save us. Like we are saving us. There is no one coming. Like we are what we're looking for,
yeah. Literally.
and that's literally like we are. So that's why we were really excited to bring this fellowship to the community, so we can continue to let people know like you are what you're looking for. Your voice, like you are the answer. And this is just another tool, way to engage people to do that. But that's our whole purpose at Tech, is just to remind people that you're literally who you're looking for. So thank you so much. So appreciate your participation. I'm looking forward, and we can announce this here on the podcast. We'll be doing a gardening session, and Kama's going to
Yes,
be
yes.
leading that. Probably be May 16th. Please check our website. We'll post that on there. And if there are any closing words you want to give to the folks.
Slow motion is better than no motion.
Mm.
You can't complain if you ain't doing something about it. So with that, I bid you adieu. Be well.
Ashe, Ashe. Thank you so much.
No doubt.
All right. So thank you all so much for joining us today for our Tag Voices of Liberation podcast. So we spoke to the adults about the fellowship, and now we wanted to have an opportunity to talk to the youth who participated in our Earthseed Fellowship. So just to give a little bit more background about it, just like we did with the adults, the adults fellowship was a partnership with Penn State main campus, Penn State University, and the youth was a fellowship with the Movement for Black Lives, Black Have. So the Black Have is the environmental justice arm of InforBL, the Movement for Black Lives. So they were doing the Earthseed Fellowship, which is named after Octavia Butler's book, The Parable of the Seed, and she in there talks about the earth seed and how powerful that is. So that's what the fellowship is named after. And it was designed to inform and cultivate a rising generation of youth climate visionaries grounded in Black liberation. So we taught young people the principles of the Black Climate Mandate, and equip them with the knowledge, tools, and partnerships to reimagine and remake the world around them. So we met virtually, and then at the end, we did a presentation. And the people, because we had some people who were virtual, they presented on camera. And we're developing a part of our website now, and obviously all this is on our social media. But on the website, we're going to have the pictures because the youth were also very artistic and creative, and they drew pictures of what some of these things meant to them. So we are excited to have them here today. So we have some questions here that we're going to ask you all, and we will start here. I'm looking at Dayana, so we'll start with Dayana. So the first question is, can you tell us a little bit more about the work you do and why you joined the fellowship? What caught your interest about it?
I would say the work that I do more so, I would say is more so educating myself on everything that's around me and around the world, and me getting a job as a gardener was more so like just to educate myself about the earth and what's bad, what's good, when it comes to planting stuff and understanding the seeds and soil and fertilizer and how they all literally correspond with us as a human. Literally. All of it. And how you can use it in herbal ways, and I feel like that goes hand in hand with Black liberation, because that's what we used to do, is work with the land, work besides the land, literally cohesively. And I feel like that's what made me join the fellowship, more so is just to express myself in that type of way, artistically, whether it's, how I feel or just any type of way. And I love debating with you guys, and I feel like that's always a good conversation to have with the community, is that you are able to still exchange words without it being anything crazy, you know.
Yes, O'Shea. Thank you. Thank you. So next is Grace.
So a little bit about the work that I do. I work with the youth chapter with TAG. So a lot of what I do there is I help plan and I help organize a lot of events that focus on things like engagement, community engagement, mental health. A lot of what we like to do in the youth chapter is create safe spaces for young people. And I'm usually involved with just helping come up with those ideas, helping structure the events, and just making sure everything went smoothly within the youth chapter. I also help with outreach, spreading the word and just getting the word out about everything. Sometimes I also help gather feedback or just talk to people during those events. Another reason why I joined the fellowship is because I wanted to go deeper than just helping out at events. I wanted to really understand environmental justice because I knew what it was about. But doing this fellowship, I learned even more what it was about. So a lot what the fellowship did is it gave me a chance to actually learn and do my own research and create things like that presentation that we did at the end. So I really feel like that's one of the reasons why I joined, and I was able to learn so much about environmental justice.
Thank you. And Mariah.
Like Grace said, I am an intern for Take Action and I work with the youth chapter as well. We help organize events and help the youth bring up problems in our communities, what we want to deal with, what things we want to focus on. And I joined the fellowship because I have always been interested in environmental justice. For a long time in high school, middle school, I told everybody I wanted to be a marine biologist or a wildlife biologist, which still is the goal. But it's always just been an interest of mine. So getting the chance to expand my knowledge on other topics whenever I get the chance is just something I'd love to do.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so proud of all of you. Just had to add that in there. We're all so proud of you all. It's so special when you've taken interest in their community, but they take that further to actually doing something with it internally and for the community. That takes a lot. Some adults don't even do that. So we are extremely proud of you all. So the next question is, what did you like about the fellowship? What are a few things that you like doing? Some takeaways that you from the fellowship. And this time we'll start with Mariah and we'll go back around.
I would say my favorite thing about the fellowship was getting to experience the food pantry from like the point of view of somebody who works in the food pantry, because a lot of what I would imagine working in a food pantry is not the reality. Like I didn't know that they had to pay for all of the food that they got. There's just a lot more that goes into having a food pantry than you would ever think went into it. So it was just really good to see how much work other people do for the community that I live in, even without like having to do it. Like it's not something that they have to do. They do it because they want to help the community, and it's not easy. Like there's a lot of money that goes into it, a lot of time. There's just a lot of work that these people have to do that a lot of people will take for granted. And if you didn't know how it works, then you would just think that they're doing an easy job, just go to a place and give out food for the day. And that's not the reality at all.
No, not at all. And what Mariah is referring to is during the fellowship, we took the youth to the McKeesport Agape Center, which is a food bank here in McKeesport, and it's ran by a family, Kelly Doyle, her husband Mike, and her son. Shout out to them. They were so welcoming to our youth and gave them the full tour. But when you have a food bank, you do have to, and this is for this county, I don't know any other county is structured, but for this county, when you have a food bank, especially a bigger one, you have to buy the food from the food bank. So they're not giving you the food. Like you have to buy it. Certain items are higher price. Of course, the more healthy foods are. Sometimes they don't give any healthy food. So they kind of brought a lot of those things up. And a lot of that also goes back to the state, the funding, and how the funding kind of trickles down. So that's kind of what Mariah was pointing out, to the fact that the structure of these food banks is wild as hell. Every time I hear it, I'm like, you really got to buy food from the food bank. Just turn around and give it out for free. But, that shouldn't be surprised. This is a capitalist country. Next to Grace.
What I liked about the fellowship was how interactive it was. Like every single meeting we had, we were able to talk about what we thought with about, especially about the pillars that we went through. I thought that was really, really interesting. For example, I think mine was water. So really reading through exactly what water was in environmental justice, or doing research myself, seeing how it affects me or affects McKee sport in general. That was really nice. Them just giving us the ability to really use our ideas, especially with the presentation we did at the end. I really liked the presentation because they gave us the ability to do whatever we wanted to really do with that. Like just talking about before, we were able to draw, we were able to use Canvas, or we were just able to talk. So just having the ability to be able to them like trusting us and what they taught us about environmental justice, I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. So Grace is referring to the Black Climate Mandate from the Black Half, and we'll put that in the links so everybody can see. But they have pillars of the Black Climate Mandate, and each youth picked a section they wanted to go over, and in the presentation, they talked more about that particular um, pillar and how it affected them in their community. So Dayona.
I like the fact that with our group, I like the fact that there was no judgment. Like we were able to see each other's point of views and different aspects of things when it came to the different pillars, and that we had different assignments to do. So it educated me in a way to see what somebody else did to create a presentation and to put it in their own words, because it's essentially their own experience of this world and being Black. And I think that's something to cherish, especially within a community, because I feel like it's hard more than ever for people to just kind of communicate, come together and communicate, just in general. And I feel like this will be so good for us, especially in the long run. Whether it's little progress or a lot of progress, it's still something, and that's something that I can appreciate always.
Ashe. Thank you all. So last question I'm going to kind of combine is, what does community look like to you, and how has the fellowship changed the way you kind of approach your work or just approach your life? So this time we'll start with you, Grace, and then we'll go back around.
Okay, thank you. So to me, community looks like people supporting each other and working towards something bigger. I think it's not just about like living in the same place. It's really about connection and trust and showing up for one another. Even small things, for example, like checking in on someone or helping out at an event. A lot what we do in the youth chapter, I feel like can really make a big difference. I also think community means creating safe spaces where people feel safe and heard, which is another reason why I joined the youth chapter, is because I wanted to feel like my voice mattered. And I really feel like that's what TAG embodies, community. So I really feel like it's important to build that kind of environment, because when people feel comfortable, they're more likely to, open up, share ideas, and get involved, which is exactly what I feel like people who join the youth chapter, they might start like nervous, but then they grow and then they're able to create that safe space and then they're able to share their ideas. So the fellowship, I feel like it really changed the way what I think of how I think, and then the way maybe even down here in school because I'm in college. I feel like before I was focused a lot more on just helping out and getting things done, but now I think more a lot about the purpose behind it. I really like to pay attention more to how doing things actually impacts people and connects to bigger issues like environmental justice. It made me more intentional when I'm planning or working with others. So I try to think a lot about what people need, how to make things way more engaging, especially in the youth chapter, and how to make sure the message actually come across. So the fellowship just really helped me and open up my brain about environmental justice and how important it is, and what work I can even do down here in school. And it even made me look up some things down here in North Carolina and see what they're doing and if they have any mandates down here and, you know, what type of rules that they've set. So it really opened up my brain.
Thank you. And then we'll go to Dayona and then back to her.
Community means to me, and the fact that we can, like Grace said, like having a safe space for each other just to talk in general. And I feel like a lot of us have a type of stigma, especially with Black families, that like you can't speak your mind, and then it's really hard whenever you've never been able to.
Mhm.
So I cherish the fact that we are still able to come together and talk about different perspectives and debate with each other. Like especially if you're nervous to talk, it's still good to
Mhm.
listen, to be in the aspect of listening from another person's point of view. And how the youth, um, the Take Action group, how it impacted me for my day to day. I would say my presentation was about land, so and food, and how that it literally whenever you have spray everything with pesticides and how it literally goes into the food, it works with your mental, breaks down you physically, and it's an aspect that I wanted to learn thoroughly just because of the presentation I did and the research that I did, because it affects us in so many factions that we wouldn't even know. And I feel like that's something to to understand, especially from other people, and to be intentional with other people because we're all going through the same thing, literally. But yeah.
Thank you for that. I know that you started to do some gardening, which I think is great.
Yes, I'm
After
so excited about it. Oh my God.
That's wonderful because we all need to get back to growing our own food. Because
Yes. Like y'all don't even understand how bad the food is when you see how it's made, and like how long they let it sit there. Like it's not it's not real food. It's not. So I feel like it's always good to know that you can be in control even in a situation where you know that food isn't accessible to you. You know that you can grow your own stuff. Yeah.
Shay, no Shay. All right, Mariah.
Community to me is family, and that doesn't have to mean the literal sense of family, like blood. Family is anybody that you choose to make it, whether it be people that are in person or people that you talk to online. Anybody could be your community, anybody could be your family. It's who you pick. So community to me is just family. You could rely on them, a shoulder to cry on, anybody that you want to talk to, support. It's just a big system of people who want to help you and see you win, who are sitting there in your corner clapping as you fight and not hoping that you get knocked down in the ring. They're your corner. They're just there for you. So that's what community looks like to me. And this fellowship has impacted my work by allowing me to see like all sides of things. Like a lot of things connect that you don't know. And through this fellowship, we learned about how environmental justice connects to Black liberation and connects to a bunch of things. Therefore, like, you can't just take things for surface value. You have to look behind, you have to look deeper, you have to see what connects to what, who connects to what, just to be safe, because you never know out here anymore of anybody's connections, what the world's like. It's just all unpredictable now. So you just have to take it and watch all the connections, watch for everything.
Absolutely, Shay. And one of the biggest things we talked about in the fellowship was food justice, and how that is connected to environmental justice, which is why we took the kids to the food bank, because we one of the places that we do our work is the Mon Valley, and that's a food apartheid, because we don't have access to grocery stores, transportation to get to the grocery stores. Sometimes the soil has lead in it, so it is a food apartheid over here. We actually did a report on that. It's on our website where we kind of did listening sessions. And actually, the fellowship came out of that because people said they wanted to have more spaces where we had these conversations. They mentioned gardening. We'll be doing our first gardening event next month. We're going to have that here in McKeesport at the McKeesport Community Garden. And we're just going to be like doing gardening 101. So that's where majority of this came from, actually, was that report, because people said this is how, they wanted to address this food apartheid that we live in and we still live in. It has not gone away. We have the community of Duquesne that has no grocery store, don't even have a dollar store anymore. Clairton is the same way, no grocery store. They do have a dollar store. That's it. So we have two communities with no grocery stores, and we have our local transit system cutting routes, so they can't even get to McKeesport or Homestead or West Mifflin to get to a grocery store. So that is a definition of a food apartheid, literally, because we cannot get to the grocery store. So we're still trying to get at the basics of having food, having safe drinking water, because we have issues with our water. We took the youth also to Clairton, where they got a chance to look at the steel mill, which is right in Clairton. I mean, it's right there. It's like it's right in Braddock. You could imagine waking up every day and just smelling like acid in your community. Rotten eggs. That's the things that we all experience. So we wanted to kind of pull the youth and the adults together to kind of connect those dots, because a lot of people don't see the connections. Like, they know it smells like rotten eggs at a certain spot in their community, but it's very common. So we just kind of moved on in life, not recognizing the connections to it. So I'm so happy that you are able to participate and make some of those connections. Do y'all have any closing words that y'all want to share with us? Not that you have to, but if you have any closing thoughts or anything you want to share with people.
I would say I appreciate you guys. I hope y'all know that. Y'all like the coolest ever. Y'all the coolest aspect of my family that I've ever experienced, and I love that I can be honest with y'all, like, with no judgment. Y'all just cool. Like, y'all just cool. Like I love y'all. Like,
Oh, love you too. Yes, the heart. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. I know, were you gonna come off mute, Grace? I didn't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, basically what Ayana said, like, thank you for like the opportunity to do the fellowship. I felt like I learned a lot, and then was able to see everyone's nice presentation. So I'm hoping to take the information that I learned and bring it with me into my after post grad life. So yeah, thank you.
Yes, Grace will be graduating soon. Grace was a founding member of our youth chapter, moved on to be our intern. Mariah was in our youth chapter, moved on to be our intern as well. And we'll put the link in the chat here for the podcast. If anybody wants to join our youth chapter, please sign up. We love to have you. We cut it off at the age about 25 because we got youth, and it's not just for people that live here. Our organization is everywhere. We be everywhere in the streets, literally everywhere in the streets. So we have virtual members, and we have people who are here in Allegheny County as well. All right. So thank you all for joining us. All right. So we want to thank them so much for coming on, and want to close out with the section y'all know that I call talking shit. So we're going to go over a few things happening with our advocacy campaigns, as well as some things happening in the world. So we'll start with the McKeesport Police Advocacy. So to catch people up, we have been advocating for police violence in McKeesport since we started, literally. And I'm not joking, since we started. We put out more demands last year, and this was after we filed the lawsuit along with the ACLU of Pennsylvania and the people who are directly affected after Kobe Francis shot an officer. The officer survived, thank goodness. But however, the police terrorized us for about a few weeks, for at least a week, coming to our communities, grabbing people out of their doors at gunpoint, looking for Kobe. So we actually went to the council meeting to advocate, and they locked the door on us. So we had to file a lawsuit, a sunshine law violation, to get access to the council meetings to speak. Once we got access, we actually filed a lawsuit against them. That lawsuit went on for nearly 3 years. It was just settled a few weeks ago. Within that lawsuit, we got community meetings, and those were community demands. So there was community demands and tag demands. Some of the community demands were meetings that they wanted to meet with the police, like by quarterly meetings with the city and the police in the community outside of council meetings. In addition, they wanted to have trainings. Those were community demands, not tag demands, because tag is an abolition organization. So we don't really believe in training that works, or reform tactics like meeting with the police. So we don't do those things, but the community wanted those things. So we pushed it for the community, and that is what we got. So that is a win for the community. That is not a win for the city of McKeesport or the city of McKeesport Police Department, because they didn't want to do these things. We had to sue them to get it done. I always give that background with the story because we have to control the narrative that this was the city's idea and they really wanted it. They absolutely did not want it. But that's a win, and we're going to celebrate the win. We are going to go to the next city council meeting, give you all the date, and we're going to meet at 6 so we can have a celebration and information rally to talk about the lawsuit and our wins. So that is going to be May 6th at 6 o'clock, 201 Loud Boulevard in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Another win that we got after the lawsuit, we filed that the police continued to harass people. Last year, a couple of officers themselves were arrested. All of this is on our blog. We have a detailed outline of the officers that were arrested for theft. There was multiple. The evidence room was under investigation. They also broke the ribs and damn near killed a 70-year-old black man, Mr. Stinson. So after those things occurred, and there was another black family as well. Both videos are on their site. But after those things occurred, we added more demands. One of those demands was to have social workers and mental health professionals respond with police, and we got that done as well. And that was due to the community work, people calling them, emailing them, posting, pushing, coming to council meetings and advocating and speaking. We appreciate everyone, gratitude that did that. We were able to get that. So they're calling it the A-Team. It is something through Allegheny County that they're going to have mental health professionals respond with police. So when we do go to the council meeting, we'll be asking about that program. When's it going to start? How's it going to lay out? Another thing with the lawsuit that occurred, this was a tag thing, was the actual complaints. So typically you have to go down to the station, file a complaint. But now, since the lawsuit, you can file online. It's supposed to be anonymous. They're working on getting the process together. You can go online and print the form out now, and you can mail it in or drop it off. So we're trying to get rid of the drop-off piece because the lawsuit says you can do it anonymously online. So that's what we're working on now. So those are wins, and we're going to celebrate those wins. We also want to control that narrative that these were not things that they wanted. These are things that we pushed them to do. So people power got these wins done. In addition to the City of McKeesport Police, we have, in addition to the campaign, now it's McKeesport School Police and McKeesport School Board. So to catch everyone up, there was a situation with a young lady who was assaulted on camera. This video went viral nationally, unfortunately. And this gentleman in video was her father. Her father works at the school. She attends the school. She was in the hallway with a friend, and they asked her to leave. She admitted she should have, but she wanted to wait for her other teacher to give her a recommendation for a scholarship. So she didn't leave. This teacher called her father, who happens to work at the school. Full disclosure, they're not close. He had not really been in her life. So you're hearing a video her saying, "You're not my dad," because she doesn't see him that way. He's seen her out there. I was able to see the full video because, full disclosure, again, I've said this various times, this young lady in video is my cousin. So I was able to see the full video. The part that you all see, you're missing him handing his stuff to the teacher, and she's walking away. Actually, and he grabs her by her neck and throws her against the wall. So she's like fighting back. And then that's when y'all see the video. That part kind of comes on. This is, of course, on our blog as well. We'll put that link in the chat. So we are pushing for him to be terminated. The district is saying they're going to let him keep his job, which is crazy. Please watch the video. You'll see how crazy it is. They're saying because the McKeesport police decided to not charge. Once again, we don't know why they decided to not charge. So we're working with the family to talk to the DA about that, but we're still pushing for him to be terminated. In addition, the young lady, her friend who taped the video, she didn't post it. Mom posted it, the student's mother, but she recorded a video. She is now being targeted. And we're helping that family. We helped them obtain legal representation. We had helped both families, but this particular family, because they're trying to expel her for a completely separate incident. But it's with the same teacher in question. So we believe it's retaliation. So that is being worked out now in court. So that's in addition to that. And with this whole situation, these are just two examples of how they're trying to push out Black girls and Black youth. And they're using the system to do it. I want y'all to understand how disgusting this is. They have a school police department there. So when it comes to the young lady who taped the video, something happened. And the first thing they do is move to expel this young lady. I mean, that's the first thing they do. She's only been in trouble once in 9th grade. She was suspended. She's a senior now. Both of these young ladies are seniors. Now, after this happened, nobody checked on these girls. We did. We made sure that they were connected to therapy, they had legal help, and that they were mentally okay. He came back to the school and they didn't bother to tell the family. She seen them in the hallway. Both girls were upset. No one checked on their mental health. We had to help the family advocate to get safety plans. These were things the school wasn't even thinking about. They were more, we feel like, protecting the employees. So this is about how they disgustingly use the system. So they have the school police there. The young lady got into something else and they called mom. This happened one day. They let her stay in school. They called mom the next day. She was in school. They said, we're going to expel her. She's like, what? Why? What is happening? And like, oh, she did this. And she's like, wait a minute. Is there no suspension? Is there no talking to her? I mean, they literally just go straight to expulsion. And they do that a lot with these Black youth in McKeesport, especially these Black girls. It's that push out theory that you'll hear a lot of people talk about, that school to prison pipeline. So they're like, oh, we're going to expel her. We're going to charge her. Like this is the first thing that they're doing, you all. So they're using the system. This child is a senior. So now they're trying to take away prom, taking away her walking, charging her with actual criminal charges. They're using the system to literally to weaponize against these Black children in the McKeesport Area School District. And it is disgusting because you ruin somebody's life when you file charges against them. You ruin somebody's life when you are putting expulsion on the record, even a suspension on the record. What about working things out? What about talking? Is that even an option? What about in-school suspension? What about community service? Like there has to be other things. It can't always be so punitive. And this zero tolerance policy that they've had for Black kids in McKeesport School District is nothing new. This has been going on for centuries. This incident was just videotaped. It's just videotaped. The aggression and the amount of aggression that this employee showed to this child was ridiculous. Just for she wouldn't lead the hallway, y'all. She wasn't cussing, fighting, screaming, throwing, hitting things at people. None of that was going on. The level of aggression was ridiculous. It was unprofessional for him to even be called because he's her biological father. It was unprofessional for the teacher to call him. It's unprofessional to respond. Get somebody else. You never know the situation. It was just unprofessional across the board. Everyone needs to be held accountable. But it's a bigger issue that goes back to this school to prison pipeline and this push out that is happening and this patriarchal violence that is occurring in this situation as well, because this is patriarchal violence. This is a situation where, and I think this is why a lot of people are trying to excuse it in their mind, because this is her biological father. So what does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. No one should discipline their child that way. And if you are actually involved in your child's life, you wouldn't have to, because one look would do it. It was ridiculous. Please go and watch the video. So that brings on this discussion about patriarchal violence against Black women. And that is on the rise. It has been on the rise for years. It's just now being named because it's happened so much over the past few months, since the beginning of this year in particular, but it's not a new thing. And I want to talk a little bit about patriarchal violence against Black women. Just gave an example about this young Black girl, these two young Black girls in the McHugh School District who, one with her biological father who's an employee there, another one with using the system against him. So this is patriarchal violence, which is about power, which is about control. And their ancestor, Bell Hooks, talks a lot about patriarchal violence. She shared in one of her books about an example when she was a little girl and she got whipped by a belt, and how that put her into a gendered place, because the response from a lot of adults around her was, that's your father. Little girls don't do those things. You have to listen to your father. And honestly, if you look at some of the comments and some of the conversations in our community about the video with the young lady I'm speaking about, that's what they're saying. That's her father. But that's her dad. He's allowed to discipline her. He's allowed to beat her. He's allowed to assault her. She shouldn't do that's literally what is being said. That is patriarchal violence. And Sister Hooks talks about that. She defines patriarchy as a system of domination that values power, control, and hierarchy over often placing, men above women, emphasizes that it's really about that power and about that control. All of this is patriarchal violence against Black women. It is something that is routine. There's a lot of names that we can name. This stuff goes on every day, especially within the family and within their community. We just don't talk about it a lot, but we really should. And I want to take the time now to name some of the names. These are not all of the names. Unfortunately, there's a lot of names, but these are some of the names that have occurred since January. Of Ashley Janae, who was found dead in Zanzibar while vacationing with her partner, a white man named Joseph Isaac McMahon. She was on a birthday trip, and then she ended up dead. And this is after witnesses said they were arguing. So the family is pushing now for him to be held accountable. So once again, I'll say her name, Ashley Janae. We have Mayor Nancy Mateer. I'm sorry if I'm saying that correctly. She's a rising politician preparing to run for Congress. She was shot and killed by her husband. And when they asked why he did it, he said he couldn't take it anymore. It's just ridiculous. So say her name, Mayor Nancy Mateer. In Atlanta, Bianca Huntley, a mother of two, she's pregnant with her third child, was shot and killed in her car during rush hour. Police are still investigating that. Serena Fairfax, a beloved dentist, was killed by her estranged husband and former lieutenant governor in a murder-suicide in Virginia. And the two were going through a divorce. So this situation brought up a lot of discussions because people were, a lot of discussion around Black excellence, because people were defending or even putting tributes up to the man that shot this woman and killed this woman. Because he was supposedly a good Black man. I don't know what that shit even means. And I hope that y'all begin to reevaluate what that even means to you right now. It was ridiculous to even post any tribute to somebody who literally killed somebody. That's what this man did. He murdered her. And it was ridiculous, some of you all's responses. And I'm happy that people held you accountable. So once again, we'll say her name, Serena Fairfax. In Houston, Ashante Allen was 8 months pregnant and was found dead in a park. The father of her child is currently on the run. In February, he was released and went on to attempt to attack her. Their son was doing a horrible story out of Houston. We'll say her name again, Ashante Allen. In New Jersey, a nurse named Victoria Alexander lost her life after she was chased into her workplace by her estranged husband, who shot her before turning the gun on himself. Say her name, Victoria Alexander. In Washington, D.C., Raven Edwards, a mother of 3, was killed in front of her children by the father of her youngest child. She chose to end a relationship and only wanted to co-parent. And in Milwaukee, Gladys Johnson Ball and her unborn child were killed by the father of her 3-year-old child, who set the bedroom in her family's house on fire when they were staying and fled the scene. So all of these stories have taken place since January of this year. We're just in April. There are more stories. There are more names. We have to end that. We have to begin to have this discussion about patriarchal violence against Black women. It has many forms. It's just not that direct violence. A lot of times it's indirect violence. Because patriarchal violence from a Black queer feminism lens is about compassion, is about caring, about looking at things from the whole self. So when you do these things to Black women, you are affecting our mental health, our physical health, and everything around us and how we interact with one another. So this patriarchal violence against Black women, like I said, it has so many forms. In the beginning, when I was talking about our wins, a lot of times we have to control the narrative because they try to erase Black women. And me as a Black woman who co-founded this organization and lead the organization, they're constantly trying to erase me from the narrative. Even though, I'll put the sweat equity along with my team and do the work, they'll just act like like I wasn't even there, like I didn't even exist. So this erasure is patriarchal violence against Black women. So it has many forms. It shows up in a lot of different ways. We must begin to have these conversations, even when it's within your family, because that shit is violence as well. And we have to have those conversations and hold people accountable so we can stop this patriarchal violence against Black women. That's all I have today for the Talking Shit section. I really wanted to focus that on this patriarchal violence against Black women. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us. We can't wait to see you all next month. Peace and Ashe.